Hey everyone, how's it going? I'm back here with another video today. Someone posed an interesting question online that I thought was a great topic to talk about because I feel like it's something that comes up quite frequently for a lot of people, and maybe you've wondered this yourself. And the question this person asks is, why does the brain crave more food when it is already full? And I actually really love this question because I think it is at the root, nutrition wise, for why so many people have troubles really wrangling in their diet. And first, I want to start off by suggesting two books that you might want to read if you really want to dive deep into this topic. And the first one's called The Hungry Brain, and the second one is called Wired to Eat. So check out those two books, which have entire books written on this subject. So my 10 to 15-minute video here is not going to do this topic justice, but I think it's an important thing to understand at the outset because a lot of people blame themselves. They'll say, I just don't have the willpower to resist the food. And my brain's already always telling me to eat. Even when I just ate, why am I always hungry? All this stuff. And I think it's important to understand that the drive to eat food is has been the primary reason why we've been able to survive on this planet for hundreds of thousands of years. Up until very recently, and I'm talking about within the last 100 years or so, maybe even less, and for some people around the world, this is still true. There was no guarantee that you're going to have food 3 times a day, or once a day, or once a week. Food came and went. And when you had the opportunity to eat food, because it wasn't guaranteed that later on today you're going to eat again, or tomorrow you're going to eat again, or later this week you're going to eat again, you ate as much of that food as you possibly could. If you came across a berry bush, you probably ate all the berries off of that bush. If you were lucky enough to successfully hunt an animal, you probably ate as much of that animal as you possibly could. And obviously shared it with the other people in your community as well to ensure the survival of them. Because we didn't have this guarantee of food in our environment, it was natural that we then, if we came across food, whether we just ate an hour ago or 2 hours ago or yesterday or whatever, we ate as much of that food as possibly could because it ensured that even if we put on some excess body fat because we just ate, we're not really that hungry, we stored those calories because next week we might not have anything to eat that week, and we're going to use those calories that we just stored in order to survive when we don't have food. So this is basically an evolutionary drive to consume food when it is available. It was there because we wanted to ensure that we were able to survive as a species, and the body adapted and developed ingenious mechanisms to store those calories away as, i.e., body fat, when we didn't need them. And now today, we don't have this problem. Most of us don't have this problem, right? We can go to the grocery store whenever we want, and we have access to virtually unlimited amounts of calories. And actually, we don't even have to go to the store anymore. We can get those virtually unlimited amount of calories delivered to us at our doorstep. And so accessing food for a lot of people is not a problem. But yet we still have this brain that's wired to think that, hey, there is no guarantee that we're going to eat again anytime soon. Oh, you have some food in the cabinet, those cookies that are in the cabinet or the Ben Jerry's that's in the freezer or whatever, those have a ton of calories in it. It tastes really good. You should probably go eat that because tomorrow we might not have access to Ben Jerry's. All that food might disappear. When in reality, that food's most likely never going to disappear. It's always going to be there. And if it does run out, we can always easily access more of it. Like I said, we can get it delivered right to our door anytime we want. So we have this environmental mismatch between the way our brain is wired for survival in our food environment, our modern day food environment. So it's not something that is wrong with you or there's a problem with you specifically. Everyone has this evolutionary drive to consume calories whenever they're available. Now, this is made worse by a lot of other environmental mismatches, to be frank. The fact that we don't move, right? I just said we can get this food delivered to us. Before we want food, we had to go out and find it. hunting, gathering, killing. That expended a lot of calories. We moved our bodies. We had to be moving around. And now we don't have to do any of that stuff. And we get the food to us. And it's much more plentiful, much more tasty, and much more calorically rich. So there's a double whammy there. We don't move, and we have a lot more calories available to us without even moving. And the movement, in fact, helps regulate our appetite. So that the fact that we're moving also makes us more not moving, sorry, makes us more hungry. Then people have issues with the sleep they're getting, the quality of the sleep they're getting. That drives them to eat more because food gives you energy, right? Specifically, quick spikes in blood sugar. So things that are rich in carbs and fats or provide a lot of dopamine, energy drinks, coffee, caffeine, that type of stuff. All drives are easy choices and easy accessible and provide you energy. So when you're sleepy, you get a boost of energy that drives more food cravings. Then you have a lot of stress in modern day life, which then where do people turn to relieve that stress? A lot of people return to food to do that. So comfort foods, those types of foods. Or always where people turn to alcohol is another one that people turn to relieve their stress. So we have these other additional environmental mismatches besides just the fact that we have easy access to calories all the time and they're in front of us, and that they're causing our brain to want us to eat more even though have eaten plenty. The other issue here, so then it comes to what's the solution, right? So these other environmental mismatches outside of food need to be addressed, right? Or should be addressed, right? You need to work on your sleep. You need to work on your stress management skills without turning to food. You need to move your body and exercise. So all that stuff, those three things alone is huge problems for a lot of people to tackle, right? Outside of the food, that's going to help regulate your body and help with those cravings for food, even when you don't need it. But when it comes to the diet piece, what do, right? We can't put the genie back in the bottle. We can't go back, and some people can if they want to, but most people don't want to go back to hundreds of thousands of years ago and having to hunt and gather their food. So if we're not going to go back to that way, what can we do in our modern environment to help control the cravings for the food that we have around us? So the first thing is to get rid of foods that are ultra processed, right? The first food you're going to crave when you're quote unquote hungry, even though you shouldn't be, it's not going to be a piece of broccoli, raw broccoli. It's not going to be a dried chicken breast. It's going to be the Ben& Jerry's. It's going to be the cookies, it's going to be the crackers. It's going to be all those ultra processed snack foods, right? Because they're calorically dense, they're high in fat, they're high in carbs, and they're tasty, right? They're delicious, right? So you're going to turn to those, right? So the best thing you can do is actually remove those off your environment. Again, easier than it sounds because a lot of people, other people living in their household, that you can't force food stuff onto them, et cetera, et cetera. But you want to somehow control your own food environment, however that's possible. There's multiple strategies but I can't go into in this video, but control your own food environment. That basically means removing foods that you're going to turn to when you're looking for something when you're not actually full. The second thing is prioritize protein. Protein is the most satiating macronutrient. A lot of people's diets are low in protein. There's a lot of theories out there that lack of protein, amino acids that come from protein in people's diet might be causing them to eat when they're already eating enough calories just because the body needs those amino acids to survive. So it's driving this feeding mechanism. So consuming enough protein, about 1 gram per kilogram, 1 gram per pound of ideal body weight is a rough estimate for where I would shoot for. And then also eat plenty of whole vegetables and fruits. The reason being, those take a lot longer to digest. You will get that fullness feeling, right? You can eat a muffin that has 500 calories in it and be hungry after it because you're like physically don't have that fullness in your stomach. But if you eat 500 calories of fruits, vegetables, and protein, you'll have a lot more food volume in your stomach because it's not so easily digestible. It will sit there for a longer period of time. You'll have a more satiating feeling for a longer period of time, stopping you from turning to try to get that feeling if that's what you're after. So choosing more foods with fibers in them that take longer to digest is ideal, right? And if certain foods trigger you as far as cravings go, like they trigger your hunger mechanism, I would try and limit those, right? Some people find even whole foods, like especially fruits, to be triggering as far as a hunger mechanism. If you find eating grapes really shoots up your hunger, I would stay away from those types of foods that trigger those hunger mechanisms. If you do those things, right, which are again not small, like right, all those things I mentioned are not small, you'll go a long way for limiting your cravings even when you've eaten enough food. And will I say you'll never have another craving in your life again? No, I'm not saying that. I have cravings. Everyone has cravings for a variety of reasons. But if you have those cravings and the food isn't in your house, then it's going to be a little bit harder to get to it. But you're still going to have food cravings even when you're full. It's part of life. Again, it's part of our brain. Like it's our survival mechanism. It's there for a reason. It just really is a mismatch between what our modern food environment is and our brain's just evolutionary instincts. So, like I said, if you really want to dive deep into this topic, I really suggest you check out those two books. Again, it's Wired to Eat and The Hungry Brain. Those are great books. I love both of them. They're really good reads. So I suggest you check those out. If you have any questions or comments, please put them in the link below. If you're looking to implement these strategies that I talked about today and need some help, I do have some one-on-one coaching spots open. You can reach out to me. Again, direct message me, leave a comment below. There's lots of ways to get in touch with me, but if you really are interested in one-on-one coaching, go to rjbhealth.coach, click on the schedules discovery call button and fill out that form, and I'll reach out to you and we can set some time up to talk. And if you want to get all this content that I put out on a weekly basis for free, and including practical strategies that will help you do some of the things I talked about in this video, subscribe to the newsletter. That's the best way to keep up with all the content. Again, you can go to rjbhealth.coach, click on the newsletter link at the top, and enter your email address, and you'll be signed up for the newsletter. With that, I hope you all have a great week, and I'll talk to you all next week.